If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me tell you about it. It's free, which is amazing. And there are these really cool creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will even distribute your podcast for you, so it's easy to be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get podcasts. And you get to make money with no minimum listenership, which is really cool. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started right away. Wellnesspreneurs, are you ready to stop side hustling and start making an income doing what you love? It's time to pull up a seat and align your third eye on the prize. Each week, we will have conversations with successful creatives in wellness, business, marketing, and more to uncover practical methods to take you from A to B. My name is Jessica Cross, and I am so excited to link arms with you and get started. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. I'm really excited to share a conversation that I had with Joy Rossignol recently. She is an inner healing and confidence coach. She helps women rediscover who they are and grow in their confidence, self-love, and walk in freedom. She knows what it's like to have a critical voice inside your head that is so loud and keeps you from being for yourself. I know that you're going to love this episode. Let's take a listen. Hey Joy, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Thank you for being here. I'm really looking forward to this.
Me too. I've been looking forward to this literally all week. So
Yay. Well, first of all, I just wanted to say thank you for the time that you're sharing with not only me, but with people that are listening today, because I know it's going to be so valuable. And, your energy is amazing and you're so vivacious. And I just love you. I just knew we were going to be friends. So thanks for saying yes.
Oh my gosh, of course. Honestly, with even what we're talking about today, I'm like, if this can be a blessing for even one person, I will be super grateful. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, if minimum me. So thank you.
Me too, right? So
yeah, absolutely. Well, I was hoping we could just, kind of start at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah. So I am Nigerian American. My parents are from Nigeria. So I grew up in a Nigerian Christian household, was a middle child as well. So there was just a lot of factors in for me to be how I am today. And my family really valued education and our faith. Those are the two things. Everything else is underneath these two things. So I feel like I was really born into a family of a lot of structure and a lot of if you do this, this is not this is very easily good, this is very easily bad. There wasn't really a black and white, in between, so I remember growing up and just if I got a B, it was reprimanded, you need to get an A. If I did anything at all that was just not seen as good for my parents, I was very easily reprimanded, or just being stop doing that, or just a lot of anger and frustration, and just okay, I found out very easily this is what I'm supposed to be doing, this is what I'm not supposed to be doing. And on top of that, reputation is a huge part of the Nigerian culture. So what you do in front of people is very highly valued. It doesn't matter maybe the things that you think are good, if it's not seen as good to Nigerian culture, education, high profile, whatever, it's not worth it. So I just remember whenever I would receive an A, or if I would do something that my parents would they would be praising me and smiling and being wow, you're good job, you're great, awesome, singing all my praises. And I'm okay, let's just test this out. And then obviously when I didn't do something that wasn't good, it was just a complete opposite. And if anyone's from somebody who's maybe not people who are not from America, there's just a different structure and culture and rules and all regulations that you have to follow. And I did not like my parents feeling upset. I put the blame on me all the time. If they were upset with anything, it was my fault. I actually remember when I was in first grade, I don't know why the story came up, but I guess it's important. I was in first grade, and I was raising my hand to go to the bathroom because I really needed to go. The teacher ignored me, whatever. I ended up peeing in my pants. I'm in first grade. So it's like, I'm young, let's move on. But I remember coming home and like my parents were just like super like, embarrassed and just like very much just like, I can remember when my dad came home, he just like looked at me with so much shame. And I was just like, like, I didn't realize this was like that. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it, you know? Um, and I really just took on the fact of like, it doesn't matter if you meant to do it or not. If you do something bad, that's it. You have to like be perfect. And so I really strive to be perfect all of the time for my family. When it came, like I'm sure grades, when it came to my faith, when it came to literally anything, like I was going to be the best perfect child, the best perfect daughter, so they wouldn't have any need for one to be upset or to shame me or make me feel like I'm a bad person. Like I wanted to be good in their eyes. Um, and I mean, that definitely translated to like every area of my life. It wasn't just like particular to my family. And so when it came to friendships, when it came to as I got older, relationships, my teachers, all these things, like I wanted to be like the perfect good girl that people would be like proud of and would praise. And I would just like I was really driven by those emotions of like being really good and people like be like, oh, good job. And it's like that's the best feeling. Like let me just like go ahead and continue doing that. Um, and yeah, that really was my story for a super long time, even to the sense of like subconsciously like picking going farther, even maybe even my career, because I felt like that was going to be validated for my family and like going to grad school and my parents had something to brag about, you know, to their family. And I'm very close to my parents, but it was just I saw them as like if I'm only worthy of your love if I'm doing good. I'm only worthy of people's love if I'm perfect. And that obviously is a horrible way to have to live life because you're constantly looking for validation from other people. Um, and yeah, that was a lot of my life for a very long time.
Mm. Yeah, I can resonate so much. Like as you were telling your story, some things were even coming up for me as, you know, being a kid and really just desperately seeking that like good girl, like pat on the back and that, you know, that worthiness that those feelings provide. And it's so much to carry
Yeah,
as a child and then also as a human to
exactly.
to feel that. I can only imagine like your little first grade self, like how much that must have hurt and how that informed, as you said, your choices in education, the relationships that you picked, and everything kind of spins from that little 6 or 7 year old kiddo, and that experience like that. Thank you for sharing
Yeah,
that. It's a lot.
yeah, of course. And I feel like that yeah, I agree. I feel like a lot of people, specifically women, like feel like as society we have to be these like not too loud, but like not too quiet, like perfectly mellowed, going with the flow, doing whatever anybody wants just to get by. And it will kill your soul, period.
Mm.
And you lose truly who you are, and you don't know who you are because you never had the ability to maybe think about like what do I actually like, what is my wants and my needs and my desires, because you're constantly looking for what does everybody else want me to be, what do you need me to do? You're constantly adapting to new situations and like reading the room. I even for me, like I would read the room whenever I'd come into a room and be like, okay, what do people need me to be in this moment? Do they need me to be loud? Do they need me to be like quieter and just smart? Like what do you need from me? And it's
Yeah.
like constantly having to be like, oh, this is too much. Got it. Okay, let me level it down a little bit. Okay, you know, like you are constantly overthinking all the time because you're like running into the fact of like, oh, this is how I'm feeling, but you can't. That doesn't matter. This is what people want, and that's it's exhausting.
Oh, it is. It is. And thinking about, you know, reading the room and, you know, maybe you misread, and or that person that you're reacting to is actually in a completely different space and they're not reading you at all. They're just like being a human. They're having a bad day or, you know, whatever. And you're like, is it me? Is it something that I did? And then you internalize and overanalyze forever. Like you said, it's exhausting.
Yes, it really is. It's that, yeah, that really is just like why I'm super, super passionate about like helping people, but women, because I am a woman, I know what it feels like, just to no longer have to overly like really care what other people think. I know it's easier said than done. Like, let's be honest, it's a process, but in reality, like I want to help women really just know fully who they are, like be rooted in their identity, in their confidence enough to like nothing isn't like you're unwavered, you know, like just being able to, if it's not what I want to do, then I'm going to say no. If this is the direction I want to do, even if it's super unpopular, I'm going to go what my heart wants, you know. And it's just like it's so much freedom to be able to show up and be like, I am showing up fully as myself and I'm not dictated by whatever is in the room at this moment. And it's so empowering, and it's so it's like it really is a breath of fresh air.
It is. You can just feel the difference too. Like when you're like, I can feel it from you when you're speaking about being in one place versus the other, and just that empowerment, like your heart lifts and like your chin lifts a little bit and you're like, no, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Yes, I want this. And those, you know, you're aligning to what your truth is instead of adjusting to whatever everybody else is wanting in the room or in your family or whatever that is. And like you said, it's a forever process. I think at least it is for me. Like I'm constantly undoing, you know, all of that, those first inclinations, and it's almost like you step into that people pleasing. They're like, oh wait, hang on. Let's do that again.
Right.
Let me come from my true self.
Exactly.
It's so good. So I'm really sensing how much your experience and all of this unlearning that you've done and relearning has informed your coaching business and, you know, what you're bringing into the world. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. And even to like ending my story, because I guess I realized I didn't really finish it, but I went to grad school for marriage family therapy. Like I decided to I just decided to get a master's degree. I felt like that was what I wanted to do. And so I graduated from that like 2 years ago, last June. And I was like, great, let me take the test. I'm on the process of getting licensed for marriage family therapy. And I took the test, which took hours to study for. So kind of regret not doing that, but it's fine. I went to go ahead, and it's a process to get licensed. You have to get a supervisor and start accruing hours. So I was in a meeting of getting supervision with a lady who's through my job. And during the meeting, I just felt like I was like, something just feels off. I don't know why. I don't know like what's going on. And even the day before, I was talking to my husband about it. I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I feel like this isn't what I want to be doing, but I don't know what's going on, because this is what I dedicated my life to, and money and resources and all the stuff to this degree. And after the meeting, she was like, yes, it's a good fit. I feel like we'll be good. And I'm like, I wasn't even like 20% of who I actually am. So if you feel like we're a good fit, I'm not even fully who I am, like that says a lot to me. And so I ended the meeting, I left, I just like took a break and went to my car. I just like broke down, and I felt like I was at a crossroads. And I really felt like my heart was saying to me, like, if you continue down this path, a piece of us is going to die. And that was just the biggest wake up call for me. Cause I'm like, okay, my heart is, to me, one of the most precious things I have. And if I'm like gonna move and do something that is going against like really the values that my heart has, like that is not gonna work. So I really just started took a step back and reevaluated and figured out like, what is it that I want to be doing? Like, what is something that will actually bring me joy and light me up? And me being lit up actually helps other people be more lit up, because I'm actually fully involved in this process. So I looked into coaching and I had all of my mindsets on like, is coaching something I'd be good at, all the stuff, but it's actually very similar to therapy, but I'm able to do maybe more action oriented, goal oriented things, which is really awesome and still deep work that I'm like super passionate about. And so I started a coaching business, which has been, starting a business is a lot of emotions, as you know. And I'm like all of my self doubt and all the thoughts of like my people pleasing and all the root things that I believe in myself of just like was coming forth of like, what are people going to think? You were in master's degree and suddenly you're doing coaching. What are your peers are going to feel like? All, it was like so much resistance of just like, what do I want and what is everyone else going to think? And I remember I called my dad and told him, he's like, you can do what you want. I've never told you you had to like do, like even go to grad school. Like, I want you to do whatever makes you happy. And I like needed, I don't need it, but I needed to hear it, you know, to be like, oh, wow, it's just permission for myself to actually go after whatever I want to do. It doesn't matter what anyone else, especially my family, says. So I have been starting this like coaching business and really helping women like with people pleasing, with mindsets, with any aspect at all that hinders them from being fully who they are. That is like what I'm tackling. And it's a lot of with therapy, I learned a lot of different skills, which, you know, I'm thankful for. I learned something there, which is great. And it's a lot of like, we really dive in deep, hit in like a lot of inner healing work, and just like from that, what steps we need to take in order to be who you fully are, be your true self, and walking in all situations in like full confidence and identity and yeah, self-love. So it's been really exciting because I feel like I'm for the first time like operating in all of my true full giftings, and it's just like lighting me up, and it's awesome and it's fun, and seeing people get breakthrough is just like the biggest joy for me. So yeah.
I just love listening to you talk about it because the exuberance and the passion is coming through. Like, it's so clear to me, this is what you were supposed to be doing. And that you also had to have all those experiences from, you know, being small all the way up through grad school in order to have this be like you, like step into this space as you are right now. So you can offer this. It's so incredible.
Thank you. I love that you are able to see that, because I feel it, but when people are saying they see it, I'm like, yes, like that, you just know you're actually in like your right vibration when people are able to see it too. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. I can just see, I can see it happening. It's all happening for you, and you are empowering other people with your story who have gone down a path that they thought it's like, oh, you know, I think this is what I want. I'm you know, I'm going to devote my life to a certain thing, and devote their finances as well to, you know, getting your master's degree, your certifications, all of those, like, and not to mention time, like tons and tons of time. It's like we think about these sunk costs almost. It's like, well, you know, kudos to you, because some people will look at that, their sunk cost and time, and say, well, I'm too far. I'm in too far. Yep. I can't pivot. And how sad that is. It's so empowering to see, you know, someone just like you step into that, and, you know, like you said, you're like, I don't need my dad's approval, but it was just kind of that little like extra little nudge that you're like, I am on the right path.
Yeah.
This is it.
Oh, for sure. Just even, I don't know, just even thinking about that, and just, I feel like so many of us just, we waste so much time thinking and pondering and caring about what other people think, that we just stay stuck. We don't actually move. We don't take a step because we're overthinking about what this next step could potentially bring, and what other opinions and thoughts and criticisms and all this stuff. And in reality, that might happen. You know what I mean? Like, the higher we go and the more that we're really walking in what we're supposed to do, there is gonna be resistance, because like, I mean, I believe I'm a faith person, so I call the devil. You can call it whatever you want, but like there's forces that are trying to keep you from doing what you want to be doing. Um, but at the end of the day, it's really looking inside yourself and it's being like, am I fully coming alive, and am I fully coming alive and enjoying the season? Am I being who I am fully called to be? Am I actually my full authentic self in this situation, in this job, in this relationship, in whatever? Because then like in reality, like I think a lot of our hearts are probably talking to us of just like, if we keep in this relationship, if we keep in this job, if we keep in this career path, like a piece of us is going to die, and that's like a sacrifice that we shouldn't be willing to make.
Mm. Yeah, I just got a little bit of chill as you were saying that. The whole concept and just those words, like a piece of us is going to die, like that message that you had when you sat in your car after the meeting with your supervisor. Like I can so relate to that feeling, and I bet many of us can too that are listening to, where it's just this little, even if it's very quiet and small in the background, it's like, please pay attention to me right now. It's important. And it's almost it's a fork in the road, almost, so to speak. It's like, will you listen, or will you continue to go down the path? Big stuff.
It's heavy.
It is, and so important too. I think these are conversations sometimes we don't want to have. It's easy just to check the boxes on the to-do lists and to be good, like I'll be good, and do what people expect, and 10 years go by and you start looking around, what's going on. So that's something I want, and I'm hoping to get some tips myself too. Like I'm hoping today that you have some ideas or maybe tips for us to let go of those people pleasing tendencies. Like, do you have like a couple of tips or things that you can share with us today?
Yeah, of course. I know for me it was definitely different in different seasons, but something that I have been doing for one, I think if you don't have a journal, please everybody have a journal, because it'll really change your life and keep you accountable in so many different areas. But I needed to actually, for one, like write down what I actually wanted. And that's the thing. I think a lot of people, when you're so consumed with like what everyone else wants, you may not know. And that's like rediscovering who you are. And it's a rediscovering of my likes and my wants and my desires and my loves and all these things. But even like a really good like tip that's helpful, if when you're in this process of like rediscovering like your own heart and your journey, it's like writing, like for example, like these are the like 10 things, 20 things, whatever, write down as much as you can. Like these are the things that's like 100% yes. I if somebody were to ask me, like I 100% love this, I know why I love this, this makes me feel really good. I love sunrises and sunsets because it makes me feel really good, and when I see them, I feel so peaceful. Like for example, like something like I love the waves in the water because I love hearing it and smelling it and just seeing so much like serenity in the waves, whatever it is, just like writing a list of like, these are like 100% yeses. And then what are the 100% no's? These, I don't know. I hate coconut. It's like a very small example. I think it's disgusting. It's not good. I really don't like, I don't like being catcalled on the subway. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, those are like things that are just like, I do not like this. I know how it feels when this happens. I know how it feels when I see these things. I don't like that. And then like really the maybes are, I think a lot of the times when, for example, we're at work and our boss says like, hey, do you mind me putting on 20 things on your plate right now? And you're kind of like, yeah, I would love that, but you don't want to say yes. Like that's the point where we're not really strong on, but like, what are we feeling at the point? We just feel the anxiety of like, if I say no, then I might get fired. They might not trust me with more things, like all the lies that we're believing. And then we respond to the anxiety rather than like your own value of what you actually want, you actually desire. So when you make that list, it kind of gives you level of like, this is how I feel when I'm like, I'm saying a yes, or I absolutely love this, or it's like 100% for sure. And this is how I feel when it's like an absolute no. And when you're in tune with these feelings of how it feels for your in your body and like your own mind, it's like a step on how to help you with those factors of like when your boss is trying to give you these things, it's like I'm feeling the same thing I feel when I'm listing these categories of a no. So it's like, honestly, I'm gonna say no because whatever. And I know that's a process of being able to like learn the power in your no and actually choosing that, even if it makes you feel, even though those thoughts in your heads and those fears in your heads of, if I say no, then they're gonna break up with me. If I say no, then they're gonna leave me. The abandonment, the fear of abandonment, the fear of not being enough. There's so many fears that dictate our no's. I'm sorry, our yeses, or our anxiety of like, yeah, sure, yeah, no worries. I was sleeping, but it's fine. I can get up and go ahead and go to the store, even though I didn't want to do that. Um, and so, those are really the biggest steps I would say, in the sense of knowing where you fall with things that maybe are like really easy to say yes, things are really easy to say no, and then feel in your body what it feels like when you discuss those things. Like, oh, I really feel like relief when I'm speaking about something I really love, or I'm really feeling like joy, or I'm excitement, or feeling whatever you're feeling. And then for the no's, like I'm feeling disgust, I'm feeling anger, I'm feeling all these feelings. Because if you are continuing to say yes when you really mean to say no, that builds resentment, that builds bitterness, that builds all of these feelings in you. And it's just like, if you would have allowed yourself to actually say what you truly felt, that would never happen. But we have so many people who are being the good girls, being saying yes, doing all this stuff, and then we're full of bitterness and um, dead dreams, and like all of these things in our heart of just like stifled feelings, because we don't allow ourselves to actually feel what we're feeling. Um, so yeah, that was a lot, but like there's so much with that alone of just like um knowing why you're saying yes, or knowing why you're saying no. Like if you know the value in that for yourself, that allows you to say it with maybe more ease or more confidence of like, no, it's a no, because I'm saying no to you, but I'm saying yes to being home with my children. I'm saying no to you, but I'm saying yes to, I don't know, chilling with myself because I don't want to go out. You know what I mean? Like you have the power
Yeah.
to say whatever you want, and there's no justifying it. You don't have to, So
That that's so actionable too. Just like getting your journal and writing out the really easy yeses and the really easy nos. Like you said, the sound and the smell and the feel of the waves you love, and then you hate coconut. Like you're like clear, like it's black and white, very clear on like what, and then you can kind of start working through those gray areas, like why you're saying yes to the working until 9 p.m. because your boss asked you, and why you're saying no. But when you say no to some things, you're actually saying yes to yourself or your
right.
kids. Like getting kind of going through that process to get clear is so actionable and really approachable. I love that tip.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, even did it with um like I was in the process of, well, now my husband now, but before, it was like even before we were dating, I realized that I was constantly saying like, I didn't even know what I liked. Like I was like, what do I actually want in a future partner? Like what do I actually want like for a date? Like what are like my like um what is the word I'm looking for? Not even red flags. Like I don't even know what I'm trying to say. But pretty much like what are things where I'm just like, nope, this would be absolute no or whatever. And so I just was like writing down all these things of like, okay, like this is what I value, and this is like the things that I would want to see for any future spouse, and like this is what I hope they'd want to see for me too. So when we were starting a relationship, it was just like I already knew what I wanted. I was walking in this relationship with full confidence of like, okay, like I know what I want. And so in reality, if I feel any of these are not met, because I was in a relationship where they were completely not met, but I said yes anyway because I felt like this was all I had. And if I didn't have this relationship, then that's a whole nother story and a whole different topic, really. Um, but like I said yes to maybe a lot more things that I would have for sure said no, but I felt like I had to because I didn't want to be left. And I was like, oh, the fear of abandonment, the fear of all this stuff. And so anyway, when you're actually confident in your values, confident in your yeses, confidence in your nos, you can go into any situation and be just like, oh, someone didn't meet that. No, I'm sorry, I can't do that. Or no, I know why I'm saying these yeses. I know why I'm saying these nos, and that's it. And so it allows you to like walk in situations with a lot more grace and confidence and just like, sorry, these are my deal breakers, and this is what I want to be doing. So yeah.
Yeah. It's almost taking it off yourself and off the other person or the situation. It's like, I've already negotiated these.
Mm-hmm.
These are my deal breakers. And
Right.
this doesn't meet it. So sorry.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is.
Right. Right.
Those boundaries are so important too, is I used to think that boundaries were cruel in a way, which sounds silly, but it's just like, well, if I'm, putting the fence up, then that person doesn't get what they need, or, I'm not good. I'm not a good person. But like, I feel like boundaries are actually so much more kind because you show people where the door is. It's like, this is how we can be in relationship with one another, be it a colleague or, your partner. This is how I move through life. And then it's not where you've given and given and given,
Right.
and you get frustrated and resentful. And then suddenly you lash out and the person's like,
Wow.
what? Yeah. It saves you all of that like strife. Not that it's easy to do, but
right. It's not. And that it's even just with boundaries. I think that's something where if you like, I feel like it can feel like it's like, oh, it's so mean to say no because they're just asking, and you put yourself in the other person's shoes because you just want to be kind. You just want, like, you're thinking about that person so much, which I think is so beautiful. But we're thinking about every single person except for ourselves. And with the same like tenacity and the same like empathy and compassion that we have for other people, we usually have very little to zero to for ourselves. And you are the most important person that you like. If you're not doing okay, no one else is going to be doing okay. You can't give from an empty cup. And that's something I had to switch for myself too, of like, oh, if I'm saying no, they're gonna, oh, I'm so sorry, and like, I'm sorry I'm saying no, but I have to, or I'll just say yes because whatever. But then it's like, flip it the same way that you're seeing that person of just like, oh, I'm so sorry, like, say that for yourself. Like, you, what are you feeling, like, what are you wanting? The boundary is really for you, and you have to know that you are worthy of like taking care of yourself, and you have worth and value. And I think a lot of the times we don't see that for ourselves, because I think the people who have the biggest maybe problem people pleasing, hence like me, I mean, I had like, for sure, I was dealing with that, like that, like I didn't see myself as like valuable or even like worthy. I didn't have that much worth of value for myself. And so it's just easy to take care of everybody else because I felt maybe that was like where my value and worth are coming from, of like, I'm helping you, I'm known as a good friend. Great. Like that's my identity and that's my value and that's good. And if I see myself as good, and if I say no to somebody, then therefore I'm bad. And that means I'm a bad friend. And then like there's a whole identity crisis of the way that we view ourselves. Um, so if you have a difficult time with boundaries, I think it's a good question to see like, how do I view myself? How like, what do I see myself as valuable or worthy? Because it's very likely that you may not see yourself as that way, like, or see that you're as important as other people. Um, yeah.
oh, that's so good. That is so good. And I love how you said almost flip it when you're saying yes to something maybe that you don't really want to do. You're actually like not saying yes to yourself. Like you don't see the value enough in yourself to honor what you actually want.
Yeah.
Because you'd rather just be known as good. And it's not, I feel like that is so it's subtle. Like I don't think anyone's like, I just want to be known as a good person. Like I don't think anyone really thinks or says that. Maybe they do, but it's so subtle. It's just these like patterns that we've built over and over, and it becomes like a knee-jerk reaction almost.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this can be in anything, by the way, but I'm curious to know if you have any time saving tips or something that would, if you could go back in time and tell yourself, that would have saved you a ton of headaches, be it being in your education background, in building your business, or even, just being in relationship with people, like something that would help folks that are listening today?
Yeah. I like this is what keeps coming up, so I will just keep saying it, but I wish that I would have believed that I was um like I was enough. And I feel like that's still like my go-to insecurity for sure. And that's something like I'm maybe better at like moving past that thought now, but it's still something where I'm like, the more resistance, the more I'm going towards something, and the more resistance happens. But that I am enough, that I'm like worthy enough, that I am valuable enough, that I am good enough for me for me in these situations. I feel like that was really just like the core lie that I believed. I'm like, you're not enough, so therefore you have to be perfect. You're not enough, so therefore you have to be like giving of yourself all the time, because that's where your worth is coming from. That's where your value is coming from. That's where everything is coming from. Um, and yeah, just for the people who are listening on here, like if that is at all like a struggle or something that you're dealing with, like that is like, for one, you're not alone, because I think a lot of people deal with that in whatever way that looks like for them. Um, but that thought can actually be changed, and that thought actually doesn't have to be your truth. Because it's so easy to live life from reaction instead of actually from like a response, which has like, response is more control, reaction is just like there's no control. Like I have to say yes, I have to, I can't have boundaries, I can't do whatever. Like it's like you're saying these like I can't, I have to, and these are not words that we need to like continue our vocabulary in all honesty, because that gives the control of the situation instead of giving control back to yourself. And like I I wish I would have known that what I like want is actually important. And I think that's super easy to get lost in that, of just like, oh, like it's whatever my parents want, or oh, it's whatever everybody else wants for me except for what I want for myself. Um, yeah, that's what's it's hitting my heart a lot right now. So I feel like I'm hoping whoever's listening to this is like, this is resonating, because I just feel like that is um you don't have to stay in this job, you don't have to stay in this relationship, you don't have to stay in all these things that you feel like you're not fully thriving in. Like this doesn't have to be your story moving forward. And so I just want to like give you that encouragement, also just like that empowerment of just like, there is more for you if you're willing to go after that, and there is more for the things that you have on your heart if you're willing to like open the door and just be like, okay, I'm ready to actually like choose myself. Choosing yourself is so valuable and so important. um I don't think we're really, as women, really told that that's as valuable as it is. Like, we're told to take care of everybody else except for ourselves, and so
I
yeah.
needed to hear that. That really, I mean, it's so relatable what you said. It's just, I don't know that it's part of the vernacular, maybe like when we were growing up, maybe it is more now, but it's, your own worth is so important. And I think I would be right along there with you. I wish I would have known that, or I wish it would have been like kind of part of like what I was taught is like what you want matters.
Yeah.
It's not important to pay attention to that stuff. It's so relatable. And I think, as you said, we're not alone in that as women. I think we all deal with it on some level, or we've had to deal with it if we're somehow magically past all of it. But yeah, it's, I think, a recurring thing. And maybe, I mean, for me, it's something I think always will be part of my work. And that's so, thank you for sharing your story and that amazing like vulnerability too of your personal experience.
Yeah, of course. There's so much power in like our stories. And so I'm hoping that whoever's listening to this in any way, like this is something that like resonates, because I know our stories are all unique to us and they're all powerful. And if we're willing to just like speak it in whatever way, it's gonna be encouraging for some other person, even if it wasn't maybe the most joyful thing to experience growing up, right? But
yeah,
here I am today. So
yeah. Here we are. 100%. Well, I know you have a ton of like really cool things in the works, so I'd love to hear about it, and you can share with everyone who's listening what's going on in your business.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm actually like launching that this month of an actual like coaching business. Like I've been doing things, but like this is like I'm actually launching it, and I'm saying yes to myself and putting it out there. Excuse me. So I have two different types of services that people can do. So I have like a 90-minute intensive, which would be a one-time 90-minute session, and included that will be the rest of the month we'll have like back and forth Voxer accountability sessions through that. But really, like we're diving in deep right away. Like for example, if you're dealing with people pleasing, we're gonna find the root of whatever that has happened, or why it's taking place and how that's affecting you now. Where you're gonna have a better understanding of who you are, like in actual steps moving forward, and just it's really empowering, and it's a very powerful experience. So I'm really excited about that, and it's also a cheaper way to work with me if that's something you're wanting. And then also I have a 3-month coaching package, and that is like if maybe you're needing, some people maybe need the 90-minute and we can move on and do the like they have what they need and they can move from there. But a lot of people do need 3 months. 3 months is something where maybe it's like I've been doing with this for a really long time and I maybe need a little bit more of the work. We still do the very powerful intense getting to the point in the 3 months, but it's a lot more involved. And so and I have an affirmation deck that I created and a friend helped me design, and I'm really excited about that. It's like the first baby I've ever created, so this is crazy. But that's going to be launching I'm beginning of August is what I am thinking. So yeah, that is me if you are wanting at all. So yeah, I'm really excited and I'm really passionate, as you can hear. So I am ready to like help people experience breakthrough like I needed it for myself. So yeah.
You're gonna help so many people.
Thank you.
I just know it. Yeah, I just know it. And I love that you have so many options too. Like the 90-minute, you just need like a little kick and somebody to go alongside you for just a bit. And then I love the 3-month too, like how much accountability and power that must encompass that you're going to offer your clients and really just send them out into the world after that 3 months. Like,
yeah,
here you go. And I didn't know about the affirmation deck. I'm so excited about that. You'll definitely have to share with us, you know, when it's ready to launch so we can support you.
Definitely. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. And
of course,
yeah, I'll let you know when you get that. But
yeah,
sure.
You better. Okay, so how can we find you?
So I'm really active on Instagram. Like that's like my go-to thing. Like, yeah, I post on TikTok, but don't TikTok. Really, Instagram is really like what like my like the main source of where I'm like keep doing my stuff and giving out a lot of free content. And so hopefully even the things I post is like encouraging enough for you too. So that is Joy Rossignol. So she'll put it in the show notes. It's a French last name and it's complicated to say, but it'll be in the notes there. But if you are driving maybe and you want to see it now, it's JoyRossignol, all lowercase, no spaces, and that's on Instagram. So yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, and we'll definitely keep a link in the notes so everybody can grab that easily. And thanks for spelling it out too for the folks that are on the road.
Of course.
Well, this was amazing. I had so many just like aha moments, and also felt like just kind of sitting with a friend who's been there and understands and is so relatable. And I just want to thank you so much for your graciousness and your honesty. It just really fills my heart, and know that everyone listening to is going to feel the same way.
Of course. Anytime. I really appreciate you letting me be on your show. It's an honor. So
Of course, absolutely. All right, well, we'll stay in touch, and I'm looking for that affirmation deck when it's ready. And thanks, Joy.
of course. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Third Eye on the Prize. Got an idea or something to share with Jessica? DM her on Instagram at @jessicacross.co and let her know what's on your mind. We're so grateful for your support, especially as a small woman-led business. Please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time.